All right. Hello, everyone. So, uh, so in this, we have just accumulated here, everyone, so that we can discuss the questions related to the freshers that they have related to internship or jobs, and whether each of us can share some insights and help them. Because I believe in the last couple of weeks we have seen some question related to that, and also the real ground reality of the industry. I also have Parul with me. So Parul is kind of associated with Blue Dragon, and she is also working as a senior manager in Sun Life right now. So we used to take a lot of interviews, and she can also share some insights on how what is actually expected of freshers, right? So that the common mistake that you do in an interview or something, that we can kind of eliminate that. So I think the method or the process that we are going to follow is maybe one person can start. All right, and I think there was a lot of background noise. So if I feel there is a lot of background noise, I can mute you. So please, I think Jamuna has opened her mic. So yeah, Jamuna, if you have any question, go ahead. Or and in the same time, you can, if someone has some question, you need not wait for it. You can type in the chat box, and we'll try to take the question. Only thing is we have only 1 hour to take those questions. So yeah, so just be mindful of the time, and I will try to take each and every question. So let's maybe anyone can kind of pitch in, and if there is any further question on that, you can type on the chat box. I'm also looking at the chat box. Okay, complete silence.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes, go
Good
ahead.
afternoon, sir.
Good.
From internship point of view, what is the minimum number of papers required to grab an internship?
Okay, so I mean, the different companies have different standard, but if you have cleared 3 papers to 5 papers, and along with that, if CM1 and I think CS2, these are the 2 papers. So CM1 is required for life insurance, and many people make it mandatory that CM1, if you are applying for a life insurance internship, you need to clear CM1. And similarly, I think CS2. Some people also say CM2 is also required for general insurance. So CS2 or CM2. So if you have either of this paper, it can help you. So I think once you have 3 papers, you can start applying for internship. And yeah, and if those papers are kind of CM1, CS2, I think that will help you. Okay, I also got a chat. If we are interviewing a company, what type of questions are asked in the assessment test for actual student? Assessment, Prerna, can you explain this a bit? What do you mean by assessment test? Slightly.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Sir, we got a few companies on our campus, and
Hmm.
their recruitment process has not really started as of now, and they
Okay.
have this procedure to recruit people, which includes assessment test, then technical round, and then it's HR round.
Hmm.
So
Assessment.
basically, yeah, yes, it's a freshers opportunity, and the position and the profile is actuarial analyst. So I just want to know what sort of questions they assess in the assessment test. Is it more numerical based, logical, or are there subjective questions?
So I think till the time I was in the corporate, there was usually we do not have any assessment test, but I think recently Sun Life. Parul, can you? Do you have any idea on that?
Not exactly, but what I have seen is in assessment is it basically has the numerical questions as well as few objective actuarial related questions. But
Mhm.
generally, you won't see any subjective questions on this. So
Right.
this
So
is
I think
basically
I think Prerna, I remember once in Sun Life we were hiring interns, and then we found out that the quality, like nobody gave satisfactory interview. So we felt that whom can we hire based on that, and then we thought of doing an quantitative test, something like that. Like someone mentioned, lot of tons of questions on probability in the chat box, right? So uh, yeah, something like that, like like the type of questions they ask in cat, something like reasoning, maths, something like that. So then the people who scored higher marks, we had to select them because they were quite poor conceptually. So then, because we had to select few interns, and that was the way we developed. But that is not something which is norm. And once, like if you appear for internship, usually you'd be going through interviews. There should not be any assessment test. But yeah, of course, if some company is coming to a campus, they would like to filter people, right? Because in interviews, we are already filtering someone. And in campus, they, if 20 people appear, they will try to filter to maybe 10 people. So these are kind of elimination test. And I believe if elimination test would be there, then that should be a normal, quantitative test, like kind of held in bank B or cat, something like that. So yeah, I think that's how it would be. Okay.
Yes, sir, I got the point. Also, one more thing, what exactly interviewers counted in the technical round for an actuarial analysis? Like, are the questions related to actuarial concepts only, more like that, or they are in general also?
So it will be, obviously it will be on actual. So whatever paper you have cleared, will be asking you question on those paper, right? And as for example, life insurance, now we regularly day in and day out we work on CM1 related concept. What is reserve, and how the reserve changes and everything. Yeah, Tanisha, I see your hand. I'll come back to you. So in that case, I feel. Whatever subject you have cleared, you should be thorough with that. Whatever exactly you have mentioned in the CV. Like I have interviewed people who give themselves 9 out of 10 in Excel and can't write a simple Excel formula. So that is negative. Like that should not happen. Whatever should be there in your CV, and you should not be lying in your CV. Like something you have not worked upon, or something you have no idea about. Just for the sake of getting shortlisted, you are putting that in your CV. That would work against you. So don't do that. Whatever you have studied, and let me, like, I mean, different interviewer have different perspective, but I can tell you that for a fresher, I'm not looking for clarity in concept or something like that. I just want to see if a fresher has good attitude, and that person is willing to listen and is not rigid, right? So if I ask some question to someone and that person is going in the wrong direction, it can happen to me as well if someone is interviewing me, because interview pressure is a different thing altogether. Now the interviewer will always provide you some hint if that person is a good interviewer, I mean experience and everything. So the interviewer will give you some hint so that you can try to come back to the right question or right track. Now it is up to you. I have seen people who are very rigid, and they have those thought process, like someone has got that 80 or 19 CM1. They are very rigid that whatever they know is the right thing. So sometimes that is not the case. And if you are rigid, chances are you will not be kind of selected in the interview. So more than actual concept, people would at fresher level, people would probably look at your attitude and behavior, because I think remaining things can be learned. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously, whatever paper you have kind of cleared, or whatever coding knowledge you have mentioned in the CV, you should know that. Other than that, I think it's your behavior and attitude that count. Okay, so I have seen, and Tanisha, just hold on for some minute. Someone has written WTW came to our campus, and they ask a lot of questions on probability and circles. I mean, that's I think once again they are kind of trying to eliminate. But yeah, these are company specific. You can't just say that all company will do that. But if obviously you can see that if they are asking questions on probability, they are trying to test if you have knowledge about that probability thing, because you would be working on those things, all like mortality rate, lapse rate, all those are kind of based on probability. So they are checking your concept at that level. There is no way to kind of distinguish between a very good person, very, I mean, quality knowledge and not so quality knowledge. So the only way you can do that is by asking some simple mathematical question and see if you have the thinking ability. And once, if you are wrong, if you can mold yourself in the right direction, provided you are given the hint by the interviewer. So once again, it's a combination of slight amount of knowledge and more of attitude at that level. Okay, they want us to know basic cash flows. Yeah, this is something once again, if basic cash flows is required, so probably that question would be asked to someone who has cleared CM1, CS2. Because otherwise, if you have cleared only CS2 and CB1, you are not expected to know about the basic cash flow. And if the interviewer is still asking you that question, then the interviewer is probably not that qualified to take the interview. Because the interview should be done on whatever you know, not whatever the interviewer knows, right? So I think yeah, that is something that you might want to know, basic cash flow. But once again, if that is if those are the papers that you have not cleared, those questions should not be asked to you. But it is good to know. Like I can give you my example. When I applied for my first actual interview, it was not an internship, it was a permanent role. I have cleared only CT3. That is the CT3 is currently it is CS1, right? So I should know everything about statistics, but I was working in insurance sector, not in actual domain for past 2 years. And my interviewer asked me all those questions. None of the question was from statistics, but he asked me questions about life insurance product, which I was not supposed to know, or he should not be asking those questions to me. But the reason probably he asked is because I was working in life insurance for 2 years before joining my actual job. So I think that is probably the reason that they have asked. They need some basis to ask some question, right? Otherwise, I don't see a point in asking a question to some. Right, Tanisha, uh, you can come back and yeah, whatever you were raising the hand. Right?
Thank you. So I have a few questions. So should I ask them together?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is that since I am already quite late in the actuarial journey, and this year I gave a paper which was horrible. So, is it like there is a time limit, I mean, age limit by which, you should get your first job or your entry level actuarial job or something? Because although I have a lot of Python, Excel, and SQL internship experience, I don't have any internship experience in actuarial domain, obviously. And second
Okay.
of all, due to some family issues, I can't possibly work for the next 2 years or so. So I have decided to do another degree because there is no point in sitting at home. And I'm doing a lot of internships. So am I like late to the trend, or like will it affect my actuarial career by a lot? That's the questions I had.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can't work for 2 years, that is a more problematic thing than the age thing, to be very honest. Now, I mean, obviously, these days, companies will hire you as an intern first, and then if you are good in your work, like I mentioned, at that level, it is very difficult to judge someone who is quality and someone who is not. So people will hire you as an intern and allow you to work for 6 months, and depending on the vacancy level, and also the quality of work that you have done in your internship, you will be hired. And mostly people are hired, although there are some core companies who do not hire. But mostly people, if you get the internship opportunity, chances of conversion are usually high, provided they have vacancy. Now, obviously, for internship, now suppose you are working under a person, and that person is around 27, 28. Because that would be usually the age of the person would be, who would be managing interns. And if you are already 30, right, so there might be some difficulty in that. A person may not be comfortable because a person who is older, there are some resistance that I have seen, but that is not a big issue, right? And there are companies where maybe a very senior person is looking after interns, and that is usually the case. Someone would be like, maybe one person would be looking after your work, but overall it would be managed by a very senior person. So I think age is not an issue, provided you are not in late 30s, like you are 30, 35 right now, and you are starting actual career. So then that can be an issue. And then I will suggest that if you are working in an insurance company, then only that makes sense. Otherwise, job related, you will have issue. So I don't believe you are that old. So I feel that age is not an issue. The problem
I'm
with
I'm
yeah.
23 right now. I'll start working from 25.
Okay, so if you are 23, that is not an issue at all, right? You can work in internship and everything. That is not an issue at all. So that you should not think about that. Second thing is not working for next 2 years. That is an issue because in next 2 years, I mean, lot of things can happen, and like I'll come to that perspective. But I think right now we are seeing severe congestion in the fresher area. In fact, uh, like after 2019, when the syllabus and everything has changed. There is lot of more people are qualifying, because in our time there was some restrictions. As for example, you cannot appear for CA2 or CP2 or CP3 unless you have cleared some paper. But in your time there is no such restriction. And also you already know about the cheating and the coalition papers. So because of all of this, there are many people who are qualified now. As a result of that, the quality of the people are degrading. Like I mentioned that once we are interviewing for internship, the quality was so bad that we have to kind of go through and test to kind of select that people who would be scoring higher result, they would be selected. Now if you are not working for 2 years, you someone else would take your take your place, and that will push you behind by 2 years. And in 2 years those congestion would increase, right? So that is going to impact you. So if you are starting at 20, it's not it's not, I will not say that you will not get, right? That is not the case. I don't see in 2 years saturation will come at every level. That is not the case, right? But it will definitely impact. And personally I feel that I don't know which course or which degree you have kind of enrolled for. If you have 2 years, right, that is exactly the time period I feel AI will impact actual jobs. Because actually is a like high skilled job, so AI cannot impact it right now. But I think in 2 years time it will happen. It will start with general insurance because that is slightly easier, and then it will move into other domains. Life insurance probably it will come slightly later because it's a long term business. Now if you want to do something in those 2 years, I feel you should focus on AI and other stuff, right? And learn AI so that you will have some edge over others. And yeah, that might help you, right? So yeah, you are studying MS statistics, that would not help you that much because there would be many people who are doing that. And I feel that statistics, this is a theoretical paper, like, and when you are working on something, that would be a practical concept. So statistics on its own would not help you. It might help you in your paper, definitely, but it will not
I
help.
specialize in AI and data science because there is
Yeah,
the paper I have. Like I can choose my specialization. What if
right.
I take that?
Yeah, that you can, that will be very helpful to you. But in any case, like whatever, I mean, nothing can kind of it can only limit the damage that you are not working for 2 years. But it will still be somewhat damaging, right? If you are not working for 2 years, doing an AI certification or something like that, having knowledge in AI would help you in some way after 2 years, because that will give you some edge. But I mean, obviously the best thing would be for you to work, right? And if you get the opportunity, start working, because actually is a professional qualification. And if you are not working, you are not seeing the main work getting done. Nobody became an actuary by studying books, right? I think you have heard me saying this multiple times. So that is very important that you start working. Now in your case, since you have a limitation, so that limitation can be somewhat undone by this, right? But it's not the perfect method, right? Once again, for AI also, you'll whatever, like I have started doing that, and whatever limited knowledge I have accumulated till now, once again, what you study in books and what you do in real life is very, very different. So I mean, yeah, so it's kind of like that, right? And yeah, you are in a good path. Age would not be a factor for you. But yeah, not working for 2 years would definitely increase the congestion and definitely make it difficult for you to get a job after 2 years. But obviously that is a limitation that you have to live with, and you can best approach that limitation by doing probably AI. And probably you are already doing that. Yeah.
Just a final question. So when you talk about not working, if I work in, for example, data analyst domain,
Hmm.
does that also count? I mean,
No,
because I will
no,
not get the job till I clear papers.
no, that does not count. That does not count.
Got it.
Yeah, so that will probably give you some software exposure, but that is a different thing, and that does not count.
Thank you so much.
Cool. So any further question?
Sir, I have two more questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Uh, my first question is apart from the knowledge of actuarial papers,
Hmm.
what are the other skills, more specifically, other technical skills that we are required or expected to learn?
Right, right. Right. So I think, yeah, that's a very important question. So I think, even if I have to, like, I am in the process of creating those courses, right? But it will take some time. Now, first would be Excel. Any actually, and anyone in finance, kind of work in Excel. So like I mentioned, I have interviewed people. I have asked them, how much would you rate yourself in Excel, and they give themselves 7 or 8 rating in Excel, and then they struggle in formulas. So Excel is the first basic skill that you need to pick up. Like someone also mentioned, I think Need mentioned that there is Excel formula, basic Excel formula, that is required. So that is Excel. You should be thorough, and there are so many. Like, no one should wait for my course and everything. I mean, if it comes, then that's the okay. But there are so many ways you can learn Excel, right? So you should be good in Excel. Next would be VBA or Visual Basic, because all the actual softwares for life insurance, right, that is kind of made on similar coding structure. Like Profit is made on Visual Basic, GGO Access somewhere is close to Visual Basic. So if you understand Visual Basic, a lot of coding related thing would come naturally to you, right? So I think Excel and VBA would be something that would be very, very important to you. Then if you want to move ahead, then if you have further time, right, and I feel that if you have cleared 3 papers and you have done something, or you have some, intermediate level knowledge in Excel and VB, you should start applying for jobs, right? And then if you still have some time or you're not getting jobs, then go to SQL, learn SQL, and then maybe move to Python. Or Python has multiple libraries. Out of those libraries, you should start with NumPy and Pandas, because those are the data manipulation libraries, right? So if you are at this level, if you have completed NumPy, Pandas, SQL, and you are very thorough in that, then you should look for jobs instead of maybe clearing papers, right? Because the faster you get job, that will help you. So I think that is the additional skill. And other than that, if you are like, that is somehow we do not have that clarity, like you, it's probably difficult for you to understand which domain you like for example, if you like pension, or whether you like life insurance or general insurance, is usually difficult. I did not have that clarity when I was kind of applying for, I was thinking of Actuary, because at that point of time general insurance was also making sense to me, life insurance was also making sense to me. In any case, I had 2 years of previous life insurance. But if you are kind of clear about the domain, then you can, check the financial statements of those insurance companies, and see if you, whatever you have learned, that is making some sense to you. So one, this will give you edge over the, other candidates. At the end of the day, clearing any interview means that you have to stand apart from the herd, and that you can do by multiple ways, right? So if you think on that logic, you can, find something. But obviously do not go too much, someone might be doing something like she has or she sharp, that is irrelevant for actuaries, right? So there is no need for you to do that. Obviously your efforts should be in the right direction. So I already mentioned those. So yeah, that's it.
So one last question.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of company should we apply initially? Means, should we consider applying in top level companies, or we should apply in some intermediate level companies?
I mean, what, like, can you give an example of top level and intermediate level, just for me to
For example, if I'm applying if I want to go in the investment domain, so should I consider going for JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, or I should look for the companies that are means the companies that are not as big as the company, the names that I mentioned.
I mean, see, actually, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if JP Morgan hires from actuaries, because I have my doubt. But I mean, initially, usually the actuaries would be employed by insurers or pension companies. I have not seen investment companies, at least in India, hiring interns. Uh, so if that is happening, then that is something beyond my knowledge. I am not aware of that, and I don't see that happening in next 5 years as well, to be, if you ask me. But I feel that if something like that is, yeah, someone's mentioned that JP Morgan wants CFA for MCA, right? So that's true. But if you are working, like if you are an actuary, then you should look for maybe insurance companies, life insurance, general insurance. Now in that case, there are two level of companies, right? One is the core companies, and one would be KPOs, right? Now, I believe that if you work in a core company or KPO, wherever you work, you should ask the interview that whether you are getting exposure to software, right? Because that is something that is needed. As for example, if you are working for life insurance, you need exposure in profit or GGO axis. Now there are many core companies which will hire during April or May for that pricing portal thing, like they have to mandatory enter some products into the pricing portal, IITA pricing portal, which is an IT job, but they will hire actuaries because they are cheaply available and there is too much supply. So you should ask those questions, that whether you are getting exposure to software. That is not a big deal for general insurance, because general insurance work on SAS, Python, which you can learn at home. For life insurance profile, actual software is very, very important because you cannot install those, right? So I feel that size of the company do not matter. What probably matters is what profile you are getting, because I mean, in any company that is hiring actuaries are quite big. Like life insurance companies are quite, you can see that it's a joint venture between usually a bank and some other bank or some foreign partner. So all of these are quite big companies, right? So that should not be a concern for you. You should only be concerned about the type of work that you'll be getting. The better the quality of work, the faster you will learn, the faster you will relate those concepts with higher papers, and the faster you can become a good actuary, right? So then money, etc., would not matter for you. But yeah, you need quality of workx, and even if a small company gives you good quality workx, that's a big deal. And I don't think there is any small company in actually. I mean, people are doing pretty well if they are setting up a company there. Any further question, Aita?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so Gaurav has asked a question: is there any opportunity for undergraduates in terms of internship? I have not seen that. Parul, any idea on any? Do you want to take that?
In MNCs, you won't see that happening
Hmm.
because they generally hire because they want to retain the intern. But you might see some opportunities in the core domain because there they want the intern to do all the work, and generally they don't spend time and train the intern, and the intern is supposed to learn on its own. So that's where you might find some opportunities, but would be very rare. It's difficult to find that.
Yeah, and I think the reason is probably most of the actual internship are full time sort of role. And if you are already an undergraduate, then very few company would allow you to go to college or have that attendance and also work, right? Because these are not like MBA internship where you work for 2 months, and MBA also give you that leave of 2 months. So I don't think that is the. I mean, actual internship is not like that. It's like a full term role only, right? So that's, I mean, that's why you'll not get any role in undergraduate level, because actual internship are usually for 6 months. So that's kind of, yeah, I don't think you'll get that opportunity. But like Parul mentioned, if some company is hiring, then that's an exceptional company for internship, because they know that for undergraduate, that person would be busy with exams, have to take leave for college, practical exam, viva, quizzes, etc., etc. So company would not hire you for that. Okay, I feel that most of the question has been answered. Is there any further question? Otherwise, I'll ask some questions to all of you. And Parul, if in the meantime, if you can think of maybe 3 or 4 points where freshers lack, and also can share that with everyone. Okay, so I can ask some question. Now, first of all, my first question is, how many of you, or maybe not in that manner, like what do you feel is like someone, maybe some of your friends have got job or got an internship, but you have applied for that internship, but you are not selected. So do you have an analysis or an idea why someone else got selected and you are not selected?
Can I share my experience?
Sure, Tanisha, go ahead.
So after I did my master's, I did it from a very good college, and you were from the same college as well.
Okay.
So they have quite a good master placement program, especially in the recent years. So around 8 companies came who were hiring for my profile.
Okay.
Some of them were actuarial as well, and I used to clear all the technical rounds, the assessment tests. But in the HR round, I used to always get disqualified. This was the what can I say, scenario for all the 8 interviews that I gave.
But what could be the reason? Like you have an idea about that, or you have an hunch that this might be the reason?
No, because recently, I mean, during our internship break, I applied an off-campus internship to PwC for
Mhm.
technological consultant, and I got it.
Okay. Okay.
And they have like 6 rounds of interview for just an internship. So it's very confusing as to that's the thing. There is no closure or feedback, so you don't know where to improve.
Yeah, I mean that's how the corporate world is. There usually would not be any feedback. But
Exactly.
but I mean, I'm a bit surprised that you are getting selected in the technical round, but you are getting rejected in the HR round. HR usually do not have the power to do that. So it's very surprising that you are. It has to be. I mean, if like the
I mean,
only.
it's always, sorry for interrupting, it's always 2 to 3 candidates that are giving interviews with me. That is what happens in the final round. And unfortunately, I don't get selected.
I mean, two people are sitting at the same time, and the interviewer is interviewing all three people at the same time.
No, 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 no. I'm saying that in the last round, usually there are 2 to 3 candidates at max. They'll
Okay.
concise the entire pool of candidates to 2 to 3 candidates. And from there, they will either take all of them or according to their wish, they'll take. So in every case, I was the one who got rejected. There were others as well, but definitely it was me. So I found it very weird.
Okay, okay. So, Tanisha, the only thing that I can think of, because as I mentioned, HR usually do not have that power to reject an actual candidate. Usually do not have that power. Maybe for few companies, maybe that might be different. But usually, if I have to reject someone, it would be my decision. I will communicate that to the HR saying that I don't like this candidate. Uh, he or she is not selected, right? So then HR will communicate that to you. So if HR is rejecting you, then there might be some, maybe your attitude is getting misrepresented somehow. If you are coming off as someone who is, some maybe for the lack of better words, arrogant, that you might think upon, right? But I don't know if that is the case. I'm just making an assumption, right? So don't kind of take it to your heart. Just trying to help you. So I don't know if that is the case. Is usually HR don't reject if you are kind of selected, right? Anyone else want to share any experience regarding, because I have a point that I want to come to, right? Any like Tanisha's case was slightly different, right? It's completely different. So anyone has any other experience to share where they are rejected, but someone else got selected?
So I have one more question.
Sure, sure. Okay, okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Do college grades matter during the internship?
I mean, yeah, they do matter to an extent, right? Because once again, there are 20 people are trying to filter, right? So I would like to make my job easier by not interviewing 20 people, right? So I'll obviously go for people who have higher grades, but that only matters if you are what can I say, uh, like if there are multiple candidates appearing for a role, which is usually the case for a fresher level. Other than that, if you have cleared 3 4 papers, right, college grade would not matter that much, right? So I think until unless you have very bad grade, like maybe like no, maybe 80%, I don't know what is the norm right now, maybe 80% is the norm right now, and you have scored only 40%. So you will still be asked that question, like why your grade has decreased or why your grade is 40%, right? And if you should have a good answer for that, or if it is your mistake or whatever, if you have not studied, then you should accept that, right? I mean, the interview should be about your skill set, right? It should not be about your weakness. So if you lie about that, especially in your first interview, then the interviewer has been there, done that. So that person would kind of latch on to that, right? And that would reduce your chance. So for you, like don't lie in your interview process. Try to be as honest as possible. And if something is your genuine mistake, accept that and say that you are, kind of making progress. That is the reason maybe you have scored 40%, but still after scoring 40%, you have cleared 4 papers. So that shows the progress that you have made from that level. So yeah, to an extent it does matter, right? Just for filtering purpose. So if you have good grade, then that is some hygiene factor, right? So that is that will not stop you, right? But bad grade can stop you. So that is what you can take out of this.
Thank you so much.
Cool. So yeah, I was coming back to the same question. Anyone else having some experience with the interview? Has anyone kind of given interview here for internship or job other than Tanisha? Tanisha obviously did. Okay, I think all of you are. No one has given an interview. Hmm. Okay. Jamuna said, yeah. So Jamuna, how was your experience and whether you got selected or not? Yeah, Jamuna.
No, sir, I didn't got selected,
Okay.
but I give for an internship. It was an actual position only in Swiss Re.
Hmm.
Only two candidates were there. One was in referral, and I am the other candidate.
Okay.
They asked, I like because of concept. I don't clear it because of my concept problem. That's it. But
Okay.
it was a nice interview.
Okay. So you feel that you have not cleared it because of the conceptual clarity, right?
Yes, sir. Concept
And
clarity only. I didn't get it.
and do you feel that the interviewer has asked you right set of question like whatever you should be knowing, the interviewer has asked you questions from that, or the interviewer has asked you questions from some other domain altogether?
So during that interview, I'm just attended CS1 paper. So they
Okay.
asked me some questions about CS1. Then it's insurance company, so they asked me about what is insurance, basic questions. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so that I think that's something that you probably, all of us should try to remember. Like if you are going for a life insurance interview, like I mentioned, what are the basic types of insurance products? Although that you may not have studied about that, actual paper, but I think that is something that you should know, or when that company was kind of incorporated, so that if someone asks that question to you, right, or what is the market share of that company, something like that, you should know about that, right? You are appearing for an interview, a company, that company is going to hire you, should know about some idea about the culture and the business that company is doing, right? And what.
Yes, sir. Sometimes companies hire with staffing companies like that. So I got this interview from a staffing company. So I'm not aware about which company is hiring at all. So I can't prepare it. So that's like. So you have to always aware about everything.
Yeah, I mean, see, so I mean, kind of the point. I mean, I'll just take couple of 2-3 minutes to kind of make the point that was trying to make, and then Parul can share some insights, which maybe she has encountered recently, because she has, like, I have not taken an interview for last 7 months, but she would be in that process, right? So so whenever you are appearing for an actual interview, especially at the fresher level, you will see that there is a lot of congestion, right? Because many people are there sitting with 2 or 3 papers or 4 papers, and they are all trying for internship. All of them are good. All of them has kind of similar sort of grade and bring similar thing onto the table. Like these days, like when during my days, people were not that good in Excel or VBA. Like I personally was not good in Excel at that point of time, but I still managed to get the job. So at that point of time, that was not a requirement. But these days, because of too much of supply, so those things have also come into picture. How good are you in Excel? How good are you in VBA? Right. So that also is an important thing other than your actual concept. The important point to note here is getting an actual job at a fresher level is not easy. No matter what, which coaching center or whoever tells you something else, that is not correct. Getting an actual job at fresher level is not easy, right? And it will be getting difficult as time progresses, because people, and that's the honest truth, right? So I think probably you are already realizing that, and probably, or some of you are going to realize that. So it is not an easy thing. However, that does not mean that you have to be desperate and you will join a job which will not add any value to your profile. As for example, there are couple of companies, I can't take the name of this company because this video will be uploaded in YouTube. So I can't take the name of those companies, but there are multiple companies who hire actual students as for IT role and giving the designation of actual internship or actual analyst, something like that, right? And that does not add any value to your profile. So in a severely congestion zone or level, if you get a wrong job, then once again you are kind of behind the crowd by maybe 2 3 years again, right? Because you are going into a wrong job. So be very careful about what job you are kind of applying to, and then once you are kind of accepting that job, right? If it is from a good company, and if it is, if like I mentioned, the profile does matter. So if it is a good company, good profile, then that is all that you need, right? And then maybe 2 years 3 years down the line, you can switch or change your job and you will get to a better level. However, if you join a job just for desperation because my friend got that job, and that's the point I was kind of trying to make, because someone else got the job and that person is probably not as good as you are, but that person has got the job and you have not got the job. So just to under coming under that peer pressure, or maybe your parents are saying, what are you doing for, maybe after 2 years of graduation you have not got a job, you are just writing papers. So you have to be very careful with the job, because if you get into the wrong job initially, then once again you'll go back by 2 years, you will not get any future increment or other kind of benefits associated with actuary. And that will happen even more now because the congestion will only increase. Because like I mentioned, fortunately unfortunately for you people, it is easier to become a fellow as compared to our time. And because of that, there are too many fellows, and there would be too many fellows in future, right? So that fellowship or that would not matter. Maybe 6 7 years down the line, maybe every person would be a fellow, right? Any person would be able to clear actually in 5 years, because that's how uh, the industry is progressing in that manner. Because of online exam, they had to tone down the quality of paper, right? Because it cannot be set at a level that we used to have to, because for our case, there is typing is not a challenge, but for your case that would be the case. Now because of that, there will be congestion, so you have to be very careful in selecting your initial job. It should not be based out of desperation or peer pressure. You have to be very careful that this is my first job and this is a proper job, and I'm will be getting some exposure to whatever actual software. Actual software is most important, right, for life insurance especially, and some amount of work that I'm going to do. And this is the first point I want to make. Second point I want to make is, I have seen many people who switches domain just because of salary. Like I know couple of people who moved from life insurance to general insurance because general insurance domain was giving higher package. Then from general insurance, they moved to pension. Then again, they came back to life insurance. And in doing that, they completely damaged their entire career because they have not learned anything and they just know something of something. So you need to get exposure to a proper profile and be good in that profile. So do not move for salary, move for quality. Maybe the culture is not good, then that's a good thing. That is a good reason to move. But if other than that, you should not move because some general insurance company is giving you higher package and you are in life insurance, unless you want to switch from life insurance to general insurance and want to stay there. Right? I have seen many people moving from life insurance to pension just because of higher package, and then they are regretting that decision. Because I talk with those people on a regular basis, people asking me how they can come back to some other domain or what they do, right? So at a fresher level, at your level, there is already congestion, you're already facing the difficulty. Then you get into, if you get into a right job, then stick with it, and then don't change your domain until and unless you feel the strong urge to change that domain. So be very careful with that, right? Every small decision that you make at initial level can shape your career in the right or wrong way. So that is something that I'd like to point out. And be very patient, right? Because more, I mean, the more the time progresses, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, I feel that only passionate people would stay with actuary, because there will be more actuaries and there will be more congestion. So people who are passionate about actuary, they will stay. People who are kind of attached to this role because of that 1 crore package, they would leave because it's very difficult, right? Yeah, it's very difficult, Drishti. So as I mentioned, how should you select a specific domain as a fresher? I think it's difficult. It's difficult because I think you cannot select a domain as a fresher. That is the right answer. You should probably whatever job you get initially, maybe if you get a job in life insurance or maybe general insurance, then you should see that whether you are liking that profile. And maybe if you know someone from life insurance, you should try to connect to that person and see that you are not, maybe you are not liking the general insurance role. Then you will try to see if whatever in pension life insurance is there or pension is there, if you like that. But once you make a decision, then you have to stick with it. Either you stay in general insurance and learn everything that is possible in general insurance, or you stay in life insurance and learn everything that is possible, right? So that is at a fresher level, it's very difficult to gauge which is good and which is not. And there is no such preference between life insurance or general insurance or maybe pension. Whatever works for you works for you. If you know this, I mean, if you know the, like, if you are quality general insurance actuary or life insurance actuary, remaining things would not matter to you. But you have to develop that quality for, and developing that quality is not easy. You'll not get that by reading books or passing exam. You will only get that by working. So you have to select a profile, or maybe the profile will select you. And then once you get to that profile, you have to be very good in that profile, work wise, not by passing exam. You can't do that by passing exam. Okay, Parul, 3 or 4 points that you feel that fresher lack, and if I feel I can also pitch it. But right now I'll go on mute, so it's over to you.
So firstly, I would like to say, like Urban mentioned, that concept doesn't matter, but to some extent, it matters. So the first point that I would say where freshers lack is the concept on clarity. The concepts that they have already read, they are not aware of that. So that is something that you should know, but the interviewer doesn't expect you to know the concept in detail. So you might have some idea about the concept, and the interviewer can lead you to the right path. So if the candidate is not able to still bring up that concept, so that is one thing that goes against you, because you have already read the concept, and even after helping you reach out to that point that the interviewer is asking, that is not good and would go against you. So the first point and the major point is this. And then apart from that, I would say attitude, as Urban mentioned, and the intent. These two things are very important, which generally I have seen is lacking in freshers these days. So in the attitude, in terms of firstly to learn, and secondly attitude in terms of working within the team. So they feel so a lot of times it comes out as the fresher that who is giving the interview, he or she is not ready to work in a team, and they are like that whatever they are doing is the correct thing, and they won't compromise in terms of their thought process. That is another thing that I feel that these days I've seen in terms of the interview process, that a lot of freshers have. And when I say the intent, by intent I mean the freshers are coming right out of college, so they don't have the intent to adapt into the working environment. So that's where I think you all need to work on that. Now you have moved out of college and would be working in the domain wherein you have to actually give up your time and be sincere, and it's not just that you can do anything at any point of time. So that is something that is very, very important. And somebody who has the intent to show up that they are now going into a domain where they have to do all these things would get a positive edge over others. And then the next thing, as Drishti have asked the question about the domain. So that is again one point wherein I felt that, for example, during the interview process, the fresher has shown the interest to work in the life domain, and they are giving the interview for the life domain. But when, say, suppose I ask them that which subjects they like the most in terms of whatever they have read, if suppose they have read both life and general subjects, their instant answer is that they liked the general subject more, and that was more interesting for them. So the concept the clarity in terms of the thought process of what they actually want is again something I feel that which is important. Like Arpan mentioned that as a fresher level, you can't decide the domain. But if you're very clear in terms of the subject that you found interesting, then you should at least try to go for that, or be clear with the interviewer that this is what you like, but you want to explore other domains as well. This is the third thing I would say uh, uh, that goes against the fresher, and the reason being that for the interviewer, it seems like the candidate is not stable, and they can just either they won't join if selected, or they might leave in a few months, because that's what the intention is if they are not interested in that particular domain. So these are the three things, and the major things I would say that I feel is lacking in freshers. Arpan, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just remembering few of my interview experience. So, I'll share one interview experience. I was interviewing a person from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, which is also my college as well. I graduated from there. So, a person, that person has done master degree in economics, or something like that from that college. And I asked that person, so how do you control inflation? How do a central bank control inflation? And that person has done master degree in something like macroeconomics or something. So this answer should be very very obvious to that person. And that person replies, sir वो आपको पता है ना, वो हम ऐसे ही पास करके वो चीटिंग पिटिंग करके ये सब मुझे नहीं पता. So once again, if you see that answer was given to me straight, and I was quite shocked with that answer. I don't remember the name of that person, but otherwise I was very shocked with that answer, because that is not something that you'll expect in an interview. And it's okay to say that I don't know, but saying that I हम cheating करके pass करके, तो सर online आपको पता ही है ना आजकल कैसे होता है. So I feel that these are, I mean, that shows lack of everything, like what Parul mentioned, right? So if you have done something in some discipline, you should be, and like I mentioned, if you have put that in your CV, you should be good in that thing. And otherwise, you should accept that, kind of, you are not suitable for actual role. So that is something that you have to be very careful about. Can't just give this sort of answer even without trying. Then the question then comes that everything that you have written in your CV, if you give this sort of answer, then all of those can be fake, because if you are not able to answer something like that. And also other thing that I remember, that whenever I especially for fresher, whenever I ask slightly deeper question, as for example reserve, what is the formula for reserve, 9 out of 10 people can say the formula for reserve. Now if I go slightly deeper, so what would happen if kind of the mortality increases to the reserve, then I mean 9 out of 10 people will fail to answer this. The problem arises because in exam you have a set pattern, and especially people who are in coaching center, they are, especially currently the generation that is in coaching center, they have just cleared one paper, two paper, or work for 1 year, and they have got some extra opportunities, do not have the knowledge usually, and they know how to clear exam. But as I mentioned, exam is not, like, exam is the very basic that you do in a kind of an actual job. So if you need to have the ability to think in that direction. Your answer may not be correct, your answer may be wrong, right? But you need to think in that direction. You should think out loud, and your interviewer should be able to understand what is your thought process, because that's what someone is looking into you as at a fresher level. So if you can't answer that, then once again that goes against you. So try to grasp a concept, not from exam point of view, but what that concept actually mean. Right? What would happen if I change this? What would happen if I change that? Right? Because these are the questions your managers will be asking you. Why that is happening? Why that is not happening? So you have to answer this question, right? And if you can't answer that question, then everything else would be falling apart. Third thing that Parul mentioned about the intent. So I have seen people, because we have a tendency to clear exams. So I have seen people who, even after getting a job, are so focused on exams, right? So focused on exams that they do not do their official work, and they just study. And that is the biggest blunder that you can do, because that first of all, you are not doing the thing that would make you a good actuary, that is understand the concept in job. You are not doing that. Secondly, you are believing that after clearing exam you will get some benefit of the company. That will not happen, because your manager can give you bad rating, and that will reflect in your entire career, right? Even if you change the company, you'll be asked question on why you are given this rating. And your actual benefits, like the study policy where you get benefits for clearing papers, etc., etc., those would be stopped depending on your rating. So once you get into job, your current lifestyle would have to change. Then you cannot, maybe you have to study on your own. If you are on a habit of coaching center making you study, here you have to develop that knowledge of reading for maybe recorded sessions or etc. Like you have to study on your own. That has to be your kind of habit, and you have to give more attention to the work. And then whenever you have some time left, you have to work on your study related concept as well. Both are important. Clearing paper is also important, and working on job is also important, but working on job and working well on job is more important than clearing papers. So you have to kind of balance out these two. You cannot focus just on exam, and that shows lack of intent. Like if you are doing that, I know many people who has kind of damaged their career like that. Focused on exam, passed exam, after certain point of time they have also become fellow, but nobody respect that person, and they are not getting the role they desire, because the actual industry is a small industry. People will know that if you do not have that quality, so people will know that this person is like the term I call paper actuary. So you have, there are multiple people, probably some of you probably know the name of such people, right? So be very focused in that part. Working is very important. Working well, understanding the concept, asking this question, intent, like Parul mentioned, attitude, like Parul mentioned. These are very very important things, especially at the fresher level, because that will distinguish yourself from the part. There is a question here. I saw. I have a confusion about PG programs. I am an undergraduate student. Should I go for job after clearing few papers? Should I consider masters in some domain? You should always go for jobs. I think that should be evident, right. For now, I can give you my own example, right? I can give you my own example now. In Sun Life, my manager is only 2 years older to me, 1.5 years, 2 years older to me, and he has 11 years of work ex. At the time that I had joined, and I had only 6 or 5.5 years of work ex at the time I joined Sun Life. The reason is I did an MBA, right? So and also I took a gap year because I was not able to score good percentile in GAT. So if it's always in a professional certification, always about job, because you learn on the job, right? So do not have any misconception that no matter whoever is teaching you about degrees, all degrees in the world are useless if you can't do that in professional life. And like someone was asking about the the JP Morgan investment banking, hedge fund, etc. These are so difficult, and so working in real life, like I because I trade on everyday basis, that is my source of livelihood right now, and it's so difficult to do so. No concept in the book can teach you how to trade or make money in the market, because only 1% people are profitable in the market, right? So you have to work, you have to go and experience the real thing. No amount of certification can help you. Obviously these are done because you need some average level to come at, so that you can, like, if you know answer to first 9 questions, then only you can attempt the 10th one, right? That's the kind of thing. But the 10th one is the real deal. The first 9 are kind of like the 10th one is the exam style question, and the first 9 are the simple sort of questions. So you have to first go through those 9 questions. But if you think that going through this 9 question is enough, then you are making a severe mistake, especially for any financial certification like FRM, CFA, CA, actuaries, right? Any financial certification, whatever you are taught in books, those are very, very insufficient. So you have to experience it in real life, see what are the problems, face those problems, face difficulty, get stuck at, and then overcome those difficulties. Only then you can be a good in a financial certification. So whenever you are thinking between doing a postgraduate or doing a job, always choose job. Right? So that way you will earn a lot more and learn also a lot more. Okay, so we are at the end of time, maybe uh, two more questions, or if there is any final comment from Parul. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up in next 5 minutes. We'll wrap it up. Any question from anyone? No question. So I feel that then everyone is very, very clear with the internship and job, right? So whatever, and this video will be uploaded in YouTube, so you can see that and others can see that. You can share that with others. So I hope that help. And yeah, you get to 1 crore package in actually, that is true. But after you have quality of work that you will not get to 1 crore package just by clearing 13 papers. It's impossible, right? And the more the congestion, the more that 1 crore become distant, right? So be very careful. Someone might be lying to you, right? And that person has not stayed in the industry, and especially that person has not reached that level, right? So that person is living in some fantasy, and that person is also spinning some fantasy for you. So be very careful. And there are many people in this industry who would maybe would lie to you, would paint a better picture for you, but that is not the case. So that's why I feel that this sort of session helps, right? That is the reason that I kind of started all of this. And yeah, and as I mentioned, if you are passionate about something, then you will find a way, you will find a time, or find whatever it is, right? Nothing will come in that way. If you are not passionate, then you will find some excuse and you'll leave that, right? So in future, in 2 years, 3 years down the line, actually is going to become a profession like that, where only the passionate people will stay because of too much congestion. So uh, always choose whatever you are passionate at. Maybe you are not good in actually, maybe you would be very good in something else. So choose that something else. Actually is not the only thing that is present in the world. However, if you like actually because of the way it is structured and how it is, then you should stay in actually, and you should overcome every hurdles that will come in you. So I think I'm pretty much done. Parul, any final comment from your side?
Similar to what you said, that choose what you like. So I would say that don't go into actuarial domain if you don't like it, or if you're here just after hearing that 1 crore package, because even in actuarial you will get the package, and there are people who are not getting that high of package. So in every domain, whether it's actuarial science or anything else, there are people who are getting that 1 crore package. So choose what you like, as Arpan said. Because if you're not liking what actuarial science is, then you will never reach to that package because it won't interest you and won't be able to learn it.
Right, right. And in any case, I mean, if you are following us in Blue Dragon Universe, we are slowly and steadily will be bringing up those courses. Right now, we are facing some administrative hassles. Otherwise, we'll be launching some courses. So all this, gap that exists between experience and fresher, I hope in 2 years down the line, those gap would be kind of eliminated to a great extent. So we are working on that, right? But for many of you, you may not be able to wait for that much time, right? So I understand that, but I started this whole initiative for that. And obviously that would also benefit me in some way, financially, and also in my head as like I'm doing something for the society. So I feel that is the thing. So one request from my side to everyone here, like today you are a fresher, and you will probably, some of you would get to that level, would get to that maybe position. So once you get to that level, don't say to someone else that I don't have time, I can't, maybe I don't have time for freshers, etc. Try to help others, because when I was at your level, there was very few people who are willing to help people, and willing to help, willing to give a good answer, an honest answer. I asked many people what is profit, because at that point of time I did not know what is profit. I was getting rejected on interviews saying that you don't know profit, I can't select you, and I had no clue what is profit is. Right. So I asked many people. People were silent. They do not respond. Like Tanisha mentioned, there is no feedback from the HR. Right. So the higher you go, try to change this habit. Try to maybe when you have some authority, try to make a difference to the world. Okay, that's what counts at the end of the day. So I think that's pretty much it. I feel that yeah, we are on time. So I think we can close. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you. Bye bye. and have a
Thank
good.
you so much, sir, for this guidance.
Thank you, thank you. Have a happy Christmas and have a good New Year. Celebrate, take the time off, and yeah,
Bengali.
bye bye.